Welcome. Happy Tuesday. It is the 19th of May, and I am your host, Stuart Davis. And welcome to my channel, A Flawed Man of God. This is the place that I've created uh, here on YouTube for whoever stumbles across it and is a person of faith in Christianity, or may be interested in learning more about Christianity, to come and settle down, relax, and enjoy a very informal setting where we can discuss faith. We can discuss Christianity and the different ways that it impacts us, makes us feel, etc. Different topics that are going on. And currently, we are in the middle of a project where we have been here since. Are we going on 4 years now? Are we 4 years now? I always forget. We have been here a while reading through the Bible. We do a couple chapters a night. We go from we're going from Genesis and Revelation, going in order through the amplified and at times English Standard Version translations. In case you are wondering what we're using and what we're reading from, I feel like it's very important that people understand the translation. So there you have it. But this is a place where this project that we're doing, we're reading through these books in the Bible. We're doing it in order from Genesis to Revelation, cover to cover. We're not reading the Apocrypha as part of that. We will do that on the back end later, because I am Protestant, and that is the way we do things. But this is not a denominationally specific stream. In fact, I welcome to hear the perspectives from other denominations: Presbyterians, Lutherans, Baptists, right? From Orthodox, Catholics, you folks, okay? Other non-denoms. As we're reading through, maybe you can offer your input. Let us know what your tradition and doctrine teaches you, what your part of the church stresses about what it is that we're discussing. And like I said, I want to hear about it. So that when I say that I want to hear from you and you put your 2 cents worth in, I might be on the camera. I might be the one doing the reading, and you might hear me, but you are invited and encouraged to be part of the chat. We got a great group of folks. They tune in and night out and offer their perspectives, and they're a great group of guys and gals, really mostly guys and gal with Jenny in the chat. And they and I both would love to have you join in and be part of that. It is a time where we are a very small stream, a very small group. And so you have more than a great opportunity to read or to get your opinion out there and for me to read it, because I will read it and I will respond to it, as we found out yesterday when you had a bit of a malcontent in the chat. Still listened, still heard what he had to say, still answered it. He stayed on loop for a little bit, so got timed out, then botting in there a little bit, or using sock accounts a little bit. So, is what it is. But I mean, we are here to answer questions, right? And I can't promise that I'm gonna have the answer to anything. In fact, this is the time where I usually tell people I am not a professional at this. I'm not a pastor, biblical scholar. I haven't been to seminary. Okay. What I am is someone who's been in the church all my life, giving you my perspective on that and my experience from that. And it's been many years. I am over 40, so it has been a long time. So I have a lot of experience to offer. But I'm also interested in hearing what others have to say as well. So be part of the chat, be part of the group. Let me hear let me know what you have to say, and let's get into this stream. How is everybody doing? Veritex first again. Yes, you are. And I read from the top this time. Matt Felty is here. What's going on, sir? Good evening as well. Just watched Massey concede the primary election. Oof. I don't really know how I felt about that. I felt like it seems like, and I've not been keeping too much um in the know about politics going on outside of Virginia, unfortunately. Well, unfortunately, things have been very weird in Virginia right now. But I do know that there's been a lot of dissatisfaction or antipathy, I should say, between Massey and Trump. And he primaried him, and apparently Massey lost, which we'll have to see who the new guy, who I don't know anything about, is how that's gonna turn out. But that's quite the power play there. Matt, how do you feel about that? Veritech said, honestly, I kind of want to run with the old authorized version a few days just to make a point. Authorized? What authorized version? What is the old authorized version? Your Google account, folks. Scammers want your data to get your stuff. Yes, never give out personal never give out personal details to anybody. Right? Isn't that great advice? I don't think we have folks that are that old in this chat, but maybe they're listening. Maybe they're listening. Don't give your stuff out. Don't fall for it. Okay. Don't be that guy or gal. Don't be that. Is Massey associated with Big Coal? Don't know. Don't know. I like to a degree, I like Big Coal. I don't necessarily like how they treat their people. But I do know that coal is a necessary industry. Are you telling me this? Are you telling us this in the chat as like a safety advisory because you recently fell for this fair tax? Check your security from inside security and sign in. Never click on an email or to go there or a link from somewhere else. This feels like an IT email. He's been there 12 years. The opponent was Farmy and a former SEAL. Okay. I don't under what Farmy. I'm assuming that's a typo there. Opponent was a farmer. Okay, that's what I say. Probably a farmer. Farmer and a former SEAL. Okay. I mean, I don't know anything about his platform. It's been the if you watch the comments in a lot of these interactions, a lot of people try to tie certain beliefs with Trump, MAGA, whatever. And me personally, gotten a little just tired of the whole rigmarole. I voted for Trump both times, and there are things that he has done that he has done that I appreciate, and I am glad he's done them. And these things certainly wouldn't have been done if his opponent had won the election. However, there are other things that he has done that I am not happy with, and those things are significant. So I have found that and I've been felt this way for a long time, that the MAGA movement, like many like many things out there, has been deeply infiltrated by grifters and people who are just looking for a way to get rich, maybe wield power, become important in some way or famous. A lot of folks not doing it for the right reasons. I mean, how else do you explain Laura Loomer being involved with this whole thing, right? How do you explain, and some folks are outright right feds, Nick Fuentes. I mean, come on, folks. It's it's an unfortunate thing to see. But I was in my mid-20s when the whole Tea Party thing popped off, and that was my first part where I really wanted to be part of a political movement that was like, yeah, 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 look, grassroots going down, everybody getting together. They're sick of this. They're sick of all this waste and taxes, and the whole healthcare thing was um, being discussed. And I went to one rally, and it was the last rally I went to, and I just walked, and then I saw kind of what felt like, again, an opportunity for folks to misrepresent, folks to use it as a stepping stone instead of saying, look, this is what we really believe, and this is what we're going to push, right? And it's the unfortunate thing that is, and I say unfortunate ton, but it is, there's a lot of unfortunate things uh, that can be said about politics and the entire political sphere. But it's the nature that we of us to kind of corrupt things. A good idea, right? A good rallying cry, a good principle to operate from, and then the next thing we know, we got a bunch of cartoon characters running things, and it's like, well, we just had, because we've already got this problem with a bunch of clowns on Capitol Hill that some people keep voting to go up there. It's unfortunate. it's it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And we keep doing it. We keep doing the same stupid stuff. And you wonder why people get frustrated and fed up, and they kind of walk away from the whole process when it is a good process to have, where you have a say in your government. But sometimes it feels like there are, sometimes it feels like maybe not everybody should have a say in it. Some folks are just not educated enough. Some folks are voting way too much in their self-interest and not for the betterment of the nation. So this is the world we live in. This is a world that wants to be ruled by men and not by God. But we are here, and by God, we're gonna live. We're gonna live on this earth until the good Lord calls us home. So that's going to tie in really good with Hosea. But before we go into Hosea, I just wanted to note the dichotomy between our two guests, our two interlopers last night. We had one. Oh, Emmanuel, you missed it. Welcome. First off, welcome, sir. And you're not that late. I was just talking about uh, doing some political talk or whatever. We had two interlopers last night. One, let's call him. I couldn't pronounce the first name. So R2D2 was the they were the same. Yes, they were the same spammer. But I call him R2D2 because I can't pronounce the first part of it. G or G. He was a real G, right? Um, comes in there with the hot conspiratorial takes. Now, for those of you who weren't here for or haven't caught up with it, you are probably uh, probably already aware that we read from the Amplified translation, and we have the English Standard Version as our side by side comparison when we need it. We haven't uh, referenced it in a little bit, but we keep it there just in case. We haven't read from King James since Psalms, and we're not we didn't read from King James before that, and I don't think there's going to be a point where we go back to the King James. But G, and I was going to get to that. Don't steal my thunder, Matt. He got on the he got back on the loop after he stopped for Nigel. He started first talking about King James version. Right. And then he said Moses was a Muslim. right? Then he was talking about his friend Nigel, who has prostate cancer. Obviously, we wish him well. Hope that he is one, that he's accepted Christ as his Lord and Savior, and also two, that he is given the healing that's needed for him to continue with his life here. It's not, it's cancer scary. Cancer does awful things to us, physically and mentally, sometimes even spiritually. But we just want him to get healthy. But yes, after the prayer request, he got right back on that loop. King James is bisexual. King James is something about his mom. King James is a pedophile. And the the Spurg was strong. And Neo Rice and Veritex, I think, timed him out a little bit. He came back with a sock account, as one does. But the thing that was funny is like he keeps talking about King James as if King James wrote that translation. Ethiopian supremacists. As if King James wrote that translation. It's like he was the one sitting there doing that. No, and not only that, he's like, and the Rothschilds, right? Right. He was just so short of talking about the Masons, Illuminati, and obviously the Jews came up because it wouldn't be a good conspiratorial rant without talking about the Jews. So he as he was doing that, finally his language deteriorated, as in it was inappropriate. He was stuck on that. He's spamming the chat, so I booted him. It's unfortunate, right? But I told him, I was like, look, we've addressed your question. We talked about it. I gave my opinion on it. And also finally said, don't care. It's shorter line to BP in Iran. Finally said, I don't care. And so we saw that. And that's a very, very rare occurrence. I can't remember. I think the last time I got a chatter like that wasn't a straight bot was before this stream really had any listeners, right? And then we got almost very close to the end of the show. We had Celtic Spirits Coven, right, who visited here before, and look, has always been polite, ask questions, and not necessarily maybe believes all that what we're saying. And I only say that because the screen name is Coven, right? And so there's Wicca connotations there, which I certainly don't accept. But so that's my assumption, though, is that's where they're coming from. But very polite and very complimentary, right? Which stroking my ego to the side again, very nice and polite. How you come into something when you have questions, and asked one of the best questions I think I've been asked on this show, period, last night. One of the best questions. And so, I enjoy that. I enjoy that, seeing someone coming in and having genuine questions. It really takes me back to the days where Nico, where Nico was very new to all this. And it was just like, what, just as we were going through, what do you think about that? Oh yeah, just seeing him react to that stuff was very fun. Oh, I got the second one. I didn't know if y'all booted him or just muted him. Finally, I'd had enough. But thanks, you guys. Y'all have got a wrench, right? I don't give you wrenches for any other reason other than so you can share a link, I think, if you need to, or just to know that, hey, this person's a regular. It's not a honorific or anything, but if somebody really is looping and really is distracting, y'all made a great call. That's y'all are more than welcome to use that. If y'all mute and I don't agree with it, I'll let you know. But that was perfectly perfectly executed in that regard. Yeah, I think he had two, or at least one or two that he had used in this case. He didn't really come back afterwards. And y'all did. And look, we tried to redirect him. Tis what it is. But since that happened, since that's the first real banning, that wasn't a straight 100% bot. I thought it was worth revisiting that and just talking about the difference between how we kind of started off with them, ended with a better visitor. And that's cool. But pray for them both, because clearly our Ethiopian supremacist is a very lost and troubled person, and that is putting it nicely. So, so I see. So Emmanuel says, I see. So what you're saying is it was Quarter Pounder trying to distract us from the oranges. Well, me and Blaine were talking this weekend, and we think we figured out what the oranges were for. This weekend. We found out during the weekend. We came to a conclusion during the weekend. Yeah. Bot came in around 4 minutes. All we had to do was wait an extra minute. I think he eventually came back with that old account, but I don't know. But yes, the quartering drama continues, but I think we're past most of the Christian commentary on it, and I certainly have said my piece on that. Orange, you glad you didn't eat an orange today? I love eating oranges. Very good fruit. Can't drink orange juice though. Gives me terrible heartburn, but I love a good orange. All right, so we're going to get into Hosea chapter 3 and 4 tonight. Now, these are very short. Both of these chapters are very short. Chapter 3 is incredibly short. So this might not be a long reading. So let's get into, but like I was saying, how humans tend to corrupt even our own, or not only our own machinations, like we see in politics, right? I referenced the Tea Party back in 2010 time period. I mentioned we mentioned MAGA movement, Make America Great Again, America First, whatever, all this stuff. Some might even say what's going on within Charlie Kirk's organization might be another example of that. Now that unfortunately he has died, unfortunately he was killed, assassinated. Right? We just can't get out of our own way. We can't stop trying to make it about us and pursue our own pride, our own greed, our own lusts, whatever that pursuit is. And we will step on good, godly principles to get there. We won't just do that to ourselves. We'll also do that to God as well, or at least attempt to. And that's what we've seen in the Christian sphere, right? You've heard me talk about it. I mentioned it a little bit about the quartering drama, but more so the Christian circles where there are people who are just honestly out there, and I know many of them, or many I've come across many of them, and you love seeing guys like that. And you want them to continue. But then you also get folks where you go, that's clearly grift. That's clearly bait. This is you clearly trying to excite people, turn people against each other. You want to see an argument because that'll get you more relevance. That'll get you more clicks. And if that's your way of evangelizing, you need to just stop. You need to just stop, hand it over to the priest, and let them handle it. Okay? Because if you're in it for that, or if you're in it to push something that isn't of the church or isn't of the faith, but use the church as a vessel for that, no, again, put it down. Stop it. And this is this is a fraction of what Israel was up to in the time of Hosea. Right? Hosea, as we said, he's existing. His life is overlapping somewhat with Isaiah. And we see that both Hosea Hosea and Isaiah are able to see some of the prophetic revelations of God come true. And Hosea is dealing with a time where Israel and Judah are both deeply, deeply sinful. They are worshiping Baal. They are bringing in foreigners and accepting their cultures and customs and laws and stuff like that. They are forgetting God. They are disrespecting him. And so God has taken Hosea and had him marry a prostitute at his command and give her children or have her conceive. Again, we assume, and it seems like from the language, that Gomer, the prostitute, is has Hosea's kids, 2 sons and a daughter. But I'm not sure if it's all the way established. Doesn't matter in the case of this. But this is a man of standing in the community. This is a man who has done this at the behest of God, and people are seeing this. People are seeing that he married a prostitute. People are seeing her continue to be a prostitute as she's married to them. And the sign behind this is God is pointing out, this is what it's like having you, being in a covenant with you, just like being in a marriage covenant. And you go out there and you sin and you live under my roof and you exist in the blessings that I've given you. You take the money that I earn, right? The bounty that I've given your nation. And what do? You run to other false gods. You run and do things to please yourself. You do nothing for me except for betray me, except for disrespect me. And instead, you hurt me, right? So God is is using Hosea as an example, as a visual example. Imagine being Hosea and you're being used in this way. It is deeply humiliating and humbling. And it's hard to imagine not just being Hosea, but being a friend of Hosea or being somebody around Hosea as a man and as a husband and a father, seeing that happen and trying to reconcile that in my head. Not quite Job level, in my opinion, because Job suffered loss, right? Not betrayal. So you can weigh those against each other. Job lost his sons, Job lost his kids, and his wife stayed. In this case, Hosea seems to have lost his wife and kept his kids. So, weigh that, balance that how you will. But or he doesn't lose his wife, but she's betraying him. Anyway, so that's where we're at, right? God saying, "I'm going to cast you out. I'm punishing Israel." Right? This is a way of me showing you why I'm punishing you. You look on Hosea and the way that you men feel about that, the way you as a community feels about that. That's a fraction of what I'm experiencing as God, as somebody who has delivered you out of slavery, who has made you powerful in the region, who has given you great influence. And all these folks had to do to be a nation that was a good bride to God is uphold his principles. And how the faith could have spread if they'd acted that way. But nope. It is in our nature, unfortunately, it seems to pervert and break and betray. And what Gomer is doing is going out and breaking her vows and betraying her husband. Well, now we'll continue on with Hosea, or we'll start off with Hosea chapter 3. Hosea's second symbolic marriage. Then the Lord said to me, "Go again, love a woman, Gomer, who is beloved by her husband and yet is an adulteress. even as the Lord loves the children of Israel, though they turn to other gods and love the raisin cakes used in the feasts and pagan worship. So I bought her for myself for 15 pieces of silver and a homer and a half of barley, the price of a common slave. And I said to her, you shall stay with me for many days. You shall not play the prostitute, nor shall you have a man, so I will also be toward you until you prove your faithfulness. For the sons of Israel will remain for many days without king or prince, without sacrifice or idolatrous pillar, without ephod or teraphim, household idols. Afterwards, the sons of Israel will return in deep repentance and seek the Lord their God, and seek from the line of David their king, the King of kings, the Messiah. And they will come trembling to the Lord and to his goodness and blessing in the last days. Now, Hosea's taken place before the exile. And so, but we know from the writing what they're referring to, the time without king or prince, right? And that they need to show faithfulness. They need to show faithfulness. Now, the footnote here says the ambiguous wording, this is at the very beginning when he says, go again, love a woman. The ambiguous wording might be interpreted as referring to a different woman, but this time Hosea is told only to love her, not take her, i.e., marry her. Also, the application of the symbolism to God's relationship with Israel seems to depend upon the woman's being Gomer. The purpose of the ambiguities probably is to reflect the emotional estrangement between Hosea and Gomer and the contempt that she deserved for her behavior. Matthew's anonymous reference to Bathsheba literally as wife of Uriah in Matthew 1:6. All right. And Hosea bought Gomer back after she had become a slave. She had gone to become a slave. The silver and barley together totaled about 30 pieces of silver. I'll let that sink in. The pause is for effect, not just because I'm not very professional at my craft. But it's to emphasize the point. Okay. But that's the thing. Hosea has to buy Gomer back. She has gotten herself into slavery. And how easy it is for us to draw the parallels between Gomer and Israel. And how easy it should be. Tugging on my cord here because my mic's not cordless. How easy it should be for us to understand at least a little bit of the degree that God's feeling in the way they act. But again, like I say, it's important for us to remember in our own and accept our own humility. We do this too. We do this with our own behavior. We do this with our own shortcomings. We do this when we fall short, right? We prostitute ourselves out when we give in to lusts and addictions, vices. Right? When we let things distract us from our faith. When we stray. Gomer's a representative. It represents Israel well, but kind of like the old meme, like not the old meme. It's what the meme that I enjoy. Contemplating on is the sad beach scene. I betrayed God and Jesus with all my shortcomings. I am Judas every day. We are Gomer. And Emmanuel says, well, 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 if it isn't the consequences of my own action. Gomer, probably. Gamer, probably. Also true, probably, though. It's super easy to fall into traps that we are somewhat well aware. And we should know better, right? But that's where, again, this is where the contrition comes into play. This is where repentance comes into play. This is where we talk about it and we try to change things and we work to better ourselves, as opposed to just saying, no, I like what I'm doing. No, God didn't really mean that. No, God will forgive me whether I'm, no matter what. It's a lot of copes. Did you really? We need to get Thad back in here. That would be a prayer answered. Just to know he's okay. It's good just to know he's okay. Let's see if he's seen my text, my DMs. The last time. Haven't heard from Porcupine in a bit either. Bump. Yeah, last I messaged him in September. That would be excellent. That would be excellent. Hopefully, like I said, hopefully he's doing okay. Just miss him. Just wanted to make sure he was okay. Whew. Emmanuel, say thanks for bringing us back into this, but thank you for the update, man. I like Emmanuel going. I like In-N-Out hamburgers, but eating them every day will kill you. Yes. Yes. Gluttony is right in there. Right. So things in moderation, not sin in moderation, but not sin in moderation, but life in moderation, because life in the extreme is life in an extreme can lead to sinfulness. Where's Thad? Is he safe? What happened? So no, because I mean, obviously, Thad the man, part of the group, right? Part of the regulars here. We just noticed around September of last year that we hadn't seen him in about a month or 2 months. So I'd reached out to him on Discord. I'd reached out to him on Twitter. We were just we didn't know what happened. All right. And, listeners come and go. And I haven't heard from Yex in a while either. Be honest with you, I haven't heard from Christian Mario, though. I see him out there. Posting from time to time. But we didn't know what happened to him. He seemed to just drop off the face of the planet. So we were worried that something had happened to him. And so I'd said, look, keep their eye out. Yeah, so he went dark for months. Heard him calling, and then Matt said he heard him calling him to Good Logic last week, and that was good for us. So he it's good to hear from him. Need to get in touch with Alias. Alias hasn't been here in a while in the chat, but Alias was here a few weeks ago. Just haven't seen. Alias usually drops in and says hi. Dresden will drop in and say hi. Nico will drop in and say hi, and that's good. So I know that y'all are out there and y'all are in good spirits. I understand that this is not a stream maybe that's easy to keep up with, especially with my sporadic posting, but and maybe y'all have moved on to bigger and better things, but I still wish the best for you guys, and I still love hearing how y'all are doing and knowing that y'all are doing all right. So we still need Lucy as well. Oh yeah, that's another one. What was his? It's Lucifer, something like that. What was his full name? username on here. Nernath, I haven't heard from in a while. But I think he's posting memes and I think he's posting memes in the Discord. So yeah, we've had some really good folks come through here. All and you guys included. Veritax, Emmanuel, Matt, all y'all. So Lucifer Evenstar. Everstar. Evenstar. Evenstar, I think. More like Arwen. Evenstar. Arwen Ndomiel. Anyway. All right. So God's controversy with Israel. Like I said, this is only 20 verses? Not quite. All right. God's controversy with Israel, or if you're reading the English Standard Version, the Lord accuses Israel. Does not sound good for Israel. Either way, hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel, for the Lord has a legal case with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no faithfulness, no steadfast love, no dependability or loyalty or kindness or knowledge of God from personal experience with him in the land. There is false swearing of oaths, deception, broken faith, murder, stealing, and adultery. They employ violence so that one act of bloodshed follows closely on another. Therefore, the land continually mourns, and everyone who lives in it languishes in tragic suffering. Together with the animals of the open country and the birds of the heavens, even the fish of the sea disappear. Yet let no one find fault or let any rebuke others, for your people are like those who contend with the priest. So you will stumble in the daytime, and the false prophet will also stumble with you in the night, and I will destroy your mother Israel. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge of my law, where I reveal my will, because you, the priestly nation, have rejected knowledge. I will also reject you from being my priest. Since you have forgotten the law of your God, I will also forget your children. The more they multiplied in number and increased in power, the more they sinned against me. I will change their glory into shame. They, the priests, feed on the sin offering of my people and set their hearts on their wickedness. And it shall be like people, like priests, both are wicked and both will be judged. So I will punish them for their ways and repay them for their deeds. They will eat, but not have enough. They will play the prostitute, but not increase their descendants, because they have stopped giving heed to the Lord. Prostitution, wine, and new wine take away the mind and the spiritual understanding. My people consult their lifeless wooden idol, and their diviner's wand gives them oracles. For a spirit of prostitution has led them astray, morally and spiritually. And they have played the prostitute, withdrawing themselves from their God. They sacrifice on the tops of the mountains and burn incense on the hills, under oaks, poplars, and terebinths, because the shade is pleasant there. Therefore, your daughters play the prostitute, and your brides commit adultery. I will not punish your daughters when they play the prostitute, or your brides when they commit adultery, for the man themselves slip away with prostitutes, and they offer sacrifices with temple prostitutes who give their bodies in honor of the idol. So the people without understanding stumble and fall and come to ruin. Though you, Israel, play the prostitute by worshiping idols, do not let Judah become guilty of the same thing. And do not go to Gilgal where idols are worshipped, or go up to Beth Aven, the house of wickedness, nor swear oaths in idolatrous worship, saying, As the Lord lives. For Israel is stubborn. Like a stubborn heifer. Can the Lord now pasture them like a lamb in a large field? Ephraim is joined to idols, so let him alone to suffer the consequences. When their liquor is gone and their drinking parties are over, they habitually go to play the prostitute. Ephraim's rulers continue to dearly love shame more than her glory, which is the Lord Israel's God. The wind of God's relentless wrath has wrapped up Israel in its wings, and in captivity they will be ashamed because of their sacrifices to calves, to sun, to moon, to stars. and pagan gods. So this part of Hosea is doing something that I don't recall reading with a lot of the prophets yet, but it's something I continually think back to. It's something that they learned from. Um, they should have understood from Jeremiah, right? They said they told Jeremiah, "No, there's nothing to worry about. God, we're in a covenant with God. God's not going to hurt us. He's going to protect us. He made a promise to Abraham. He made a promise to Jacob, made a promise to Israel. We don't have anything to worry about." What they forgot was the law. What they forgot was what God told them and what God instructed them to do. Matthew, I think if a lamb is in a large field, is the term sitting lamb. I feel like, I mean, I know what you're saying, and yes, that seems to apply. But then I'm thinking, I was like, a lamb's even more vulnerable. I think a duck can fly away. Um, but what's brought up here in Hosea when the Lord is talking is you've forgotten about what the covenant was. And we'll actually go outside of what the law was. We'll talk about what the agreement between God and Moses on behalf of the people was. Look, if you guys are good and righteous, and when you're not, you make the correct offerings, you show repentance and humility. If you guys operate and put it with me at the top, if you guys are faithful to me and you behave in X manner, right, that I've laid out here, you will be blessed immensely. Hold on. You will be blessed immensely. But, and here's the other thing, and this was the warning from Moses. This was the warning from David. But if you don't act that way, if you are um, disobedient, if you do forget me, if you are faithless, then there will be consequences, and the consequences will be severe. And like I said, they told Jeremiah, "Oh no, he's not going to do anything." You know, he will. He told you. He's made that promise. It's part of the covenant. So yes, you are going to be you are going to be punished. And that's what we talk. The Lord has a legal case with the inhabitants of the land because no faithfulness, no steadfast love, no dependability or loyalty or kindness, which are things that he asked for, or knowledge of God, personal experience of him on the Lord. They don't have faith in him. They worship false idols. They forget about him. And so no, your nation is blessed less, and it's getting ready to be unblessed entirely. And then he puts it also on the priests, and he talks about the priests and how they are part of the problem, big part of the problem, because they're supposed to be part of the example. They're not. And God talks about, oh yeah, your wives are cheating on you and being prostitutes, so are your daughters. But I'm not going to punish them because you men are the ones going out there getting the prostitutes. If y'all weren't out there doing it, if y'all weren't out there seeking that out, right? They wouldn't have any means of making a trade, right? So put that OnlyFans, put that porn out there in your as part of that reference for a modern day equivalent, right? They're doing the wrong thing. But folks, in Israel, if that was the case, if you were in Israel and everybody was doing the right thing, they wouldn't have any clientele. They wouldn't make any money. They wouldn't have any temptation or somebody else acting on temptation with them. So it's like, how are you going to point the finger at other people? Manual. I love how Manuel posts like I post. I type like I talk. Like I'm a true intellectual. Clearly there's no God, so excuse me as I pray to this blue shiny crystals. It's like the verse in Genesis, women are gonna bite the fruit. You have to say no. And remember, you know, it seems to be in Genesis when she didn't run off and do I don't feel like she was alone and did this in hiding. She did this in plain sight of Adam. Adam let it happen. And then she's like, "You want to bite?" Yeah, idiot. So again, the responsibility to be holy starts at the top and works its name down. Did I accidentally do that, Matt? Or did I? Or were you referencing something else? I don't know. I might have slipped in my speech. But you know, leadership starts at the top. God sets the example, and if you want a literally perfect example of Him setting that, Christ is the example. Okay. So from there, the next in line is the priesthood. Well, they're degenerate swine. So the next level down are the men, the tribal chieftains, and all that. You know, the men as the head of the family, whatever, they're degenerates, right? And if those levels are degenerate, of course the women are going to act that way. Because who do you think they're praying? Who thinks praying on them? Who do you think that they're taking the example from? They're being led into that by poor um, poor leadership. And that's why I said, Manuel, I know are these women's are out there being being temptresses, and the okay. That's why I was wondering if maybe I'd said something, Matt, because that's why I paused while I was reading it. I was like trying to go back to like, wait, did I take the Lord's name in vain? But Emmanuel, you talk about these women are out there, temptresses. These women are out there, they'll take you from, take from you. Can't trust them. Where does that all start? Starts with lack of accountability. I mean, who's supposed to hold people accountable? Well, again, starts with God. God sets the example. God's perfect. God showed us He's perfect. Outside, not just all knowing, all powerful, and everywhere. We're getting there. We're getting there in a second, Matt. Matt. He's um he's shown that already. So next step is the priesthood. Next step is the leadership, right? And the leadership is corrupt. And so everything below it is going to be a corrupt as well. And that's how we get a king. That's why they're asking for a king. They were up. And the part of the reason why they were asking for a king was because the priests, the judge, and the sons of the judges. Samuel's a great example. Samuel's kids were corrupt, and everybody said, "We're tired of this. Give us a king." Well, that was the wrong. That was perfect. That was absolutely the worst answer to that problem. Solution to that problem, and they were told that. And here we are. And here we are. And as Matt said, he says, "Don't corrupt Judah." Now Judah had now Israel was completely lost at this point. They had completely given themselves over to sin. I think at this point, because I think it was that during the time of Jeroboam, right after the split, that they basically chase all the good priests out of Israel. They chased all the good priests out of Israel, and Judah was struggling. But part of that was, God saying, Israel, don't tempt Judah to do this stuff that was already happening. And while Judah could right itself from time to time, Hezekiah is a good example, right? Josiah, one of my favorite kings, and just from the way he righted the ship. Judah was in a better place. But God knows Israel, God understands that Israel is absolutely given over to prostituting herself out. And he said, right, the first part of the first chapter is not listening to priestly instruction. And that's coming from the priest. Priests are not giving priestly instruction. But not just the men, but the women in the church too. Been quoting Star Wars all episodes. Not sorry. You don't have to apologize for that. As long as you don't say that the prequels are good movies, and look, if it is I will say this here, it is a bannable offense to speak positively of the sequel trilogy. Okay. Anyway, they filled the streets with what? Don't want to. But that's the thing. And then he singles out Ephraim specifically. Join the idols. I think Gilgal is part of Ephraim's territory. I don't know exactly. Don't quote me on that. I'm not the smartest person on the planet. And I don't remember, but I think it leads me to believe that Gilgal or Beth Aven are parts of Ephraim and their peoples. They've set this up because they've given themselves over. They have less. They have essentially apostatized. I think this goes beyond heresy. This goes beyond blasphemy. This has gone. No, you have left the faith of God because you have given it over. You've given yourself over to the worship of Baal, Molech, any of those folks, any of those demons or imaginary entities. So, footnote here. As the people increased their rebellious behavior, they offered more sacrifices to atone for their sins. Oh yeah, forgot about that. They're still giving their sin offerings, but there's no contrition. And the priests are taking it. And they get a better portion of the priests. Priests are getting fat. And so it's like, hey, yeah, let them keep sinning. Let them keep, because then we're like, well, you did the wrong thing. You got to pay up. How about that barbecue tonight? Yeah, it's an aroma pleasing to the Lord. That might not be pleasing to the Lord. So, and apparently Beth Aven is a contemptuous reference to Bethel, house of God, the place of Jacob's dreams, noted for idolatry. Odd considering Bethel Church. Anyway, so what was I going to say? Oh, that's the stream. That's the end of the stream. All right. Well, there we go. That's the end of that chapter. And we'll see where we go from there. Emmanuel, Matt Felty. Veritax. Did I miss one? Was there another one in here? Or was it just you three for the most part in the chat? Let's shout out some of to the old timers we haven't seen in a little while. Dad, good news with Dad. Would be nice to see Even Star on here. Alias, Nernath, Nico, Porcupine. Haven't seen you guys in a while. Would love to see y'all pop in. That would be great. But again, to the real ones out there, you guys and the others. Love the chat. Love hearing from you. Oh, Dresden. You put Dresden in there too. And Wild Weeb. Wild Weeb. The real ones know, right? Y'all are great. Love you guys. Thank you for all you do. To the folks who are listening but not in the chat, that's fine. I just want you to know, not just that you have an invitation, but I want to hear from you. But I understand if you can't or you don't want to, then that's fine too. I'm just glad you found something you could tune into and enjoy. To everybody else who's catching this on replay, thank you for watching. I'm sorry I missed you. I hope to catch you sometime soon. Everybody have a good night and God bless.